Hey, everybody, welcome to Drummer Knows Best, my Tony Coleman Unlimited podcast. And be sure to like, subscribe, and share because we got to make this thing big. But today I got somebody big, a good friend. He's really good. He can play his ass off. My good friend, Mr. Herman Matthews.
Hey, Tony T.C. Coleman, Drummer Knows.
That's what I'm talking about. Subscribe, like, and share on all platforms. I got my main man here today, Herman Matthews. This man here has played drums with blockity block, blah, 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 blah. I can't even go through all the damn people you done played with, Herman.
Yeah, it just shows I can't keep a gig. That's right.
No, it just shows that they can't keep working to pay you. Now, man, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Tony. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, man. You from Houston originally.
Oh yeah.
So first of all, you be cooking your ass off.
Hey man, it seems like it's a thing about Texas, but I come from a long line of great cooks in my family, so a little bit rubbed off.
Yeah, my grandmother raised my family, and that kitchen, do not come in my kitchen.
Right.
She was like that was her sanctuary, man.
That's right.
She might stir up some batter up for a cake, and then we have to fight over the spoons.
Oh yeah.
But growing up in the South, man, all that good food, all that good cooking, it kind of, I think we've taken that soulfulness to our drumming, coming from down there.
Well, it definitely means a lot. I mean, it has something to do with that. And they always say, what's in the water down there, but it's everything. It's the food, the culture, how we grow up. You can't help but do the thing that.
Yeah, can't help it.
Yeah,
can't help it, son. You can't help it. I remember our tour together, BB King Tower Power tour we did.
That was great.
And David, who is also doing the Tony Coleman podcast, the Drummer Knows Best podcast. David, he's off the road now, man.
Mr. Garibaldi.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
DG, but you fed in on that gig, and you did a good job, man. I was digging it, man. You was playing, man.
Well, definitely a different approach, but yeah, it was a dream come true, and I think we all grew up listening to Tower of Power, and and when I had the opportunity, I took it, and I was, I guess, maybe in the right place at the right time. And I tried to make it my own. I mean, of course, honoring Garibaldi and the band by playing the music, but trying to get into the heads of that space, or trying to get into that space of landing 16th notes. But with my approach, it was more of a groove, So hey.
But as drummers, we often find ourselves in that situation where we got to play or emulate what was there before us.
Definitely.
And it's a very tricky thing to try to, be exactly like that person. You can never do it, but you get as close to it as possible to keep that essence there,
Well, just about with every gig that I play, where I'm replacing someone or subbing for someone, I try to make it as easy for the band to not so much play like that drummer, but just to make the band comfortable.
Right.
And then as we go, I kind of bring my flavor into it. So it's a tricky thing. It is a tricky thing.
You're living in LA, right?
Yes, I do.
Are you? I know you gig a lot. I see you in and out that baked potato.
Yeah. Well, I never stopped doing the local gigs, even when I was on the road. I mean, literally, coming back off the road, and going straight to the club. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. Load the car up and go.
Right, exactly. So I think that's the one thing that has kind of saved me as far as always working.
Right.
But I've put projects together, and thankfully the phone is still ringing, and
Yeah.
I have opportunity to. As a matter of fact, I have a rehearsal today, and then I have a gig tonight in Ventura, playing with an up and coming blues guitarist, man. So
Oh yeah.
it never stops. Yeah.
Who is this new blues guitar guy? Tell me about it.
His name is Sean Jones, and he's ba 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 ba. He's Sean. No, his name is Sean Jones, and he's actually from California, the San Bernardino area, but he lives in Ventura. He has about I don't know, maybe, and I may be wrong on this, I'm not sure, maybe 6 records to his name. We just recorded a new one on him, engineered by Nico Bolas, and he's talented, good songs, he sings well, and he plays that good guitar, so it's so he has a couple of different configurations. He has the Sean Jones trio, and then he has the Sean Jones big band, which is 3 horns, 2 singers, that whole thing.
How do you approach? We have to do this from occasion, like working with a horn section and just a trio. How do you approach that attitude about your playing? What do you be feeling about it when you do that?
Well, I mean, that's funny. I play the same way.
Right, of course.
Laying down the groove, laying down the foundation. When there are horn parts that must be kicked, then I add that to what's going on. So, with Sean, the trio came first, and then the horns came after. So there really wasn't a lot of things for the horns to be kicked. Now, when I play with Teresa James and the Rhythm Tramps, they have written horn parts into their grooves. And so even when the horns are not there, I'm always kicking the horn parts.
Right.
So it's kind of a strange thing. So, I guess it depends on the layout and what's happening. I do know that with the trio, I tend to play maybe a little more to cover the band, to cover the width of what's happening. I even play with bigger things with a trio. In other words, I use 18-inch hi-hats with the trio.
I'm doing 16. You going 18, huh?
18 with the trio. 17 I use regularly. My regular hi-hats are 17s. But with the trio, I use the 18s because it seems to cover a certain sound width where the band seems bigger on stage. And some of the biggest and loudest bands I've ever heard were trios. ZZ Top. When I first heard them, I couldn't believe it was only 3 guys up on that stage.
Right.
Yeah. So it all depends. It all depends.
And playing in a smaller band, the main thing is just keep them in the pocket, and you can spread it out a little bit, but you want to always maintain that groove, and that's pretty much how I made my career. But when you do get this, spread it out a little bit, and bang, you got to make sure that it don't lose the groove,
Always. I mean, like I say, I come from the school of foundation.
Right.
We are the foundation. I play from the bottom up. I mean, even my foot's heavy. I play from the bottom up. So that's the most important thing. And even when I teach, I try and tell the kids, I mean, all of the church drumming thing, I mean, I want that to happen. There's some brilliant, amazing drummers that are out there.
I know.
but also I want everyone to know, or I want my kids to know when to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So there are times when all I want to hear is meat and potatoes. You dig? That's all I want to hear. And then there's times to flair. So I want everybody. I want them to eat the dark meat and the white meat. I want them to eat it all.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And we're about the same age.
yeah,
We come from the same era, but even though we were into Black culture, our culture, and playing blues and soul and funk music, we were still watching Cactus and Jeff Beck and Grand Funk and Zeppelin and all of that stuff too. We were
yeah,
still paying attention, and cats. And I remember when cats were playing with two bass drums.
right.
Did you ever play with two kicks?
No, no, not in that way. Now, I mean, when I did the pop thing, I did have an extension kick.
Right, right. Yeah,
so
yeah.
it wasn't the double thing. It was just a different sound that I would use with certain things. But no,
Like,
man, I've always been, just simple. You know,
right.
um, I play basically 4 drums now, maybe 5 if I use a second tom. So
I
one up,
noticed
2
you.
tom.
I noticed you always you streamlining, man. What you getting lazy on me? You don't want to set up all that extra? What's up?
Well, if I'm carrying it, yeah, I'm not carrying all of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But no, on the road, like I say, it's the meat and potatoes of it is a 4-piece, and then with an
Yeah.
extra tom. Um, I a lot of music can be played with just that. So
All of the stuff we grew up with only had a 4-piece. Some had a 2-piece, just a
right,
kick and a
yeah,
snare.
all they could afford, right?
You're right.
But dig this, I grew up listening to music on the radio. So, I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why I'm not a big solo guy. I heard the hits. I didn't hear drums. The first time I started hearing drums, extended drums on the radio was the Ohio Players.
Oh yeah.
I started hearing that, and then later on I got into fusion. But basically the whole blues, R&B, soul thing, it was pocket. That was
Heck
it.
yeah. And like I always be telling them, Herman, you play in the pocket.
Oh
You
yeah.
put something in your pocket.
Hey man, I tell people that this house that I live in, the luxuries that I have was all made with that 4-piece kit that I play.
Yeah.
So ain't nothing wrong with it.
No, with Tower, I'm just going to talk about Tower for a minute.
Okay.
And bands like Tower, not only Tower of Power, but any bands, soul bands that had horns. The key to playing with horns when you play the parts is, I came from the school where you have to make the horn stand out by accenting, popping that.
Yeah.
You still got to, have that one in there and still got to stick it,
Yeah.
But the main thing for a lot of these cats listening to bands with horns is, don't try to play every horn lick.
Well, it's one of those things too. Don't play every horn hit, or accent them is what you should do. But also
yes.
too, they shouldn't fill every hole that's in the music.
No, you definitely shouldn't do that.
I do miss sometimes the air, the space, the breathing of a song. I wouldn't heard a young man play who was, I mean, magnificent. But I got to tell you, I left there craving just maybe 4 bars of 2 and 4.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to hear after leaving that situation. Once again, I'm not knocking it. It's beautiful. It's people are playing things that I would never ever think of. But but give me a balance, So yeah.
And see, this is like, we're almost like trying to be like apologetic for explaining about the groove these days, because when we try to explain about the groove, a lot of times people go, "Oh, you just jealous because you can't play 50 beats in 1 second." It's like, no, that's not what it's about. It's like, at some point, the the basics of drumming, what we do, you got to come back to basics, to the basic reason of why we are the drummers, you know.
Right. Now, I mean, I will say this, yes, granted, I cannot play 50, I can't do that. I admit it. I mean, even my students, I taught them, I said, you guys are better than I am as far as certain things.
Right.
Um, but when I try and teach young drummers or in my performance class, I'm not trying to teach them to be the best drummer that they can be, but to be the best musician that they can be.
That's right. Yeah, man.
So we got to remember that we're still making music, and
we are the music. We are the musician too, but we play drums.
Right, exactly. And I mean, and my thing is that I know my name is not on the marquee, so I'm not trying to make that. I'm just trying to make everybody around me feel better and play better.
See, you just said a key word that just kicked in a story. I want to take a minute to tell this story.
Sure.
And you said marquee. You know who told me that? You said I'm not the marquee.
Right.
You know who told me I wasn't the marquee? Buddy Rich. I gotta share this story with everybody, with you and everybody. I probably told it to you, but anyway, I became friends with Buddy Rich.
Yeah,
used to run into him all the time, and out on the road and stuff. So one day he was on the jazz fest we were on, and I went to the bus to talk to him. He said, "So how's it going? How's things going? Where's B? Where blah 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 blah?" I said, "Man, it's not going too good, man." He said, "What do you mean it's not going too good?" I said, "Man, BB, man, what about him? He's always telling me, man, hey, slow it down, son. Pick it up, son. Not so loud. Quiet." He leaned in. He said, "Let me ask you a question. Whose name is on the ticket?"
Right.
I said, "What?" I said, "Whose name is on the effing ticket? Not yours, his. So keep your effing mouth shut." You understand me? Man, he got all up in my chest, man. I was like, but basically he said, "Look, you want to have your own band? Go do it like I did, start my own band. You want to do that?" I said, "No, well, keep your effing mouth shut. Give him what he wants. That's your job, you know."
Hey man, that
give the cat that hired you what he expects of you, and keep your mouth shut.
There is a fine line, because you want to, you have this integrity, right? You're like, but you don't always know best, but you also want to contribute and interject. So I get it. I mean, I get it. You're giving your best. You're bringing your best to the table, and you have someone that's kind of sort of letting you know that he wants more of you.
Right.
So I know where you're coming from. I know where Buddy's coming from. So I get it. I get it.
Right.
And especially you're now a band leader. You know what's up.
Oh yeah.
You know what you need, and you know what you want.
Now that I'm a band leader, it's like this.
Someone told me, he says, "You know what? Everyone should be a band leader at least once. I mean, just go through that, So
the key is for musicians to understand. It's like anything else. Whoever is in that position, just respect that position of that person being the band leader.
Yeah.
Because you being easy to work with makes everything so much nicer. When you could just walk in there, take your skin off and hang it up and come in and just be, this is new, fresh skin. You build me the way you want to build me. That's my job. And you accept that responsibility. It'll make the job a lot easier,
Right. Well,
how to be a good side man, what I mean?
Hey man, I figured this out. Me being being a band leader, I've hired other band leaders.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So is that everyone in my band has led their own band at one time or another, and they understand. So when they look over and they see that I'm, got my mouth closed and I got this look on my face, they say, okay, let's chill. Right?
Right. So, on your drumming, did you start your drumming when you were in school, or did you go to school and get scholared in drumming, or did you just naturally do the natural thing where you was tapping on everything? That's the way I learned, you know.
A little bit of both. I mean, at a very, very early age 7, I remember pointing at the TV and telling, and it was the Lawrence Welk show that
Oh
was
yeah.
on. And I pointed and I told my
And
mom.
I think it was Paul Humphrey, the drummer one.
It sure was. It sure was. And I told my mom I want that. And so she got me a snare drum, and so I started playing with the snare drum, and then from there got into, the band in elementary schools, started doing that. I really didn't start playing drum set until I'm sorry, man.
No, you're good. Hey, this is what we do. Everybody knows that. Y'all do the same thing, so don't even trip.
Right. I in elementary school and then didn't start playing drum set until like age 10 or something like that. And I had a little play drum set, and at the time, fortunately, I lived where we had a basement.
Oh, cool.
And so I played all my mother's soul records. I played everything from that, and played with that. And so got real lucky, and then from there I went to my uncle's organ trio. He
oh, cool.
His shtick was having his 2 nephews play with him. So I played drums, my cousin played guitar, and my uncle played organ and kicked pedals.
Yeah, buddy.
And so that kind of I did that forever. That wrapped my head around the blues, around time, around dynamics, and pretty much was my training for what I'm doing now.
Those now older cats. I'm pretty sure your uncle was real serious about what y'all was getting into there. I mean, I bet he didn't play around at all.
He did not play around. He was very serious.
Yeah, because the first band I got in, the cats actually did a little skit where the trumpet player said, I didn't know they were going to do it, but the trumpet player said, "Yeah, I'll fix him." They told me later that they planned it. He said, "I'm getting my pistol and I'm at like I'm going to shoot him," and you be like, "No, don't shoot him." And he was like, "Man, I'm sick of him, man. I'm gonna pop a cap in his ass, man. He don't play. All he's doing is looking out for stage and girls and stuff, man. Man, don't do it, man. Come on, man. He's gonna be better, man. Aren't you, TC?" Yeah, I'll be better. He said, "No, you ain't, man. I'm tired of this."
What the hell kind of band you played in where people carrying where they're packing, man?
Blues, brother. This one, all the leaves are brown, blowing bubbles. This was, hey man, these were some serious blues cats. They weren't like they were serious about the music, like they may have had substance abuse problems or whatever, but when it came to that stage, everything goes away. The stage, and that's it. Discipline about the music.
Right, but so dig this. From my uncle's organ trio, and with that natural ability that I had, I seemed to excel in junior high and high school. I went to a performing arts high school.
Oh, cool.
As playing. I went to the high school for the performing and visual arts, which is where Robert Glasper is from. Beyonce went there for a minute. Chris Daddy Dave, he's from there. A lot of actors that we see. It was I always say the second school built after fame or performing arts in New York.
So let me ask you another Houstonian. She do all the dancing and stuff.
Oh, Debbie Allen.
Was she there?
She wasn't there. She's older than I am, but I did go to school with her niece at PVA. I went to school with her. Also, another dancer, Donna Laws, sister of Ronnie and Hubert.
Of course. Yeah. What about Joe Sample and Sticks and those guys? They're out of Wayne Henderson.
Right. My mother went to school with them at TSU. Texas
Southern
cool.
University. Yeah, of course. Texas Southern.
Right. I didn't meet them until much later. I was in touch with Sticks Hooper, literally talking to him every week before I wanted to move out to LA because I wasn't sure, but I would talk to him weekly, and but I've lost touch with him. So I
Yeah, when I used to, the first endorsement I had was with Pearl Drums in '78. I was the fourth American to visit the Pearl Drum Factory in Japan. And
really
it was only it and the only people that had visited the Pearl Drum Factory in Japan was Louis Belson, who was the first drummer I ever met, professional drummer.
wow.
Art Blakey, who I became friends with, Sticks Hooper,
Wow.
same, and Tony Coleman. And I was like
Wow.
the fourth American to visit
Uh,
Pearl Drums
You
and got
ambas
my endorsement.
you ambassador, you look at you. That's great.
I can't help it. I'm just a fan and I love all you guys, man. I love everybody, man, that I
Uh,
see, man. I feel the same like when I was a little kid about this. When I see my brothers and sisters in music, I'm excited, man. I'm watching you get me excited, watching you play.
you know what? It's a beautiful family that we have here, and as many musicians there are out there, you find that it is actually a small world.
Yeah, it
So
is.
yeah.
Uh, Now you did something that I had to do one time with BB King and Bobby Blue Bland when we were on
Oh,
tour together. We
oh,
had Albert King, Bobby Blue Bland, BB King tour,
yeah,
and for 2 of those weeks, I had to play 2 shows for Bobby and BB.
right.
At all, man, I was drummed out,
I,
and I saw you when I came and saw you at Tower, not Tower, Tom Jones.
Tom Jones, yeah,
You were playing with Tom Jones's band, and you had to
right,
play with Tower.
right. Dave had, Dave, whenever he misses gigs, it's either, well, I guess it's either medical or it's family oriented.
Sure,
So he needed a week off,
right, of
and
course.
at that particular time, um, Tower Power and Tom Jones, they were touring together. And so since I had worked with Tower Power, um, yeah, I would go out, open the show with Tower Power, and take that 30 minutes, and then come back and cook off Tom Jones.
But
So
the most impressive thing about it for me
what's
is
that?
what is David's kit was set up exactly the way he plays it.
Yeah, yeah,
And you sat at the seat and played his kit exactly the way it was played. And then you went back when you opened with Tower, you just sat at his drum kit. You didn't
right,
change anything.
right, correct.
And
Yeah,
and I
I
try to
did
tell
change.
people
I did change one thing.
what the
I did.
snare.
No, no, no. I put my bass drum pedal in there.
Oh wow, boy, that's so much of a change, man.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I mean,
my bass drum pedal, I mean, David calls it the beast. And so I mean, literally it's like, so
yeah,
but
like my beater is like bat.
yeah, yeah.
It's not a lot of guys have it, but mine is like
Oh yeah.
almost touching my damn foot
Same
because I can control it better like that.
same here. Same
But
here.
what I noticed about that situation, you didn't miss a beat, and a lot of cats. And I was talking to Bernard Purdy about that, man. Every time he sit in, he'll just sit out and play.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, the cymbals over here. He doesn't give a rat's ass. He's going if it's back behind your neck, he'll play
Yeah.
it.
Right. Right.
And
You improvise and adapt, so
right. So at the NAM show, this NAM's a little bit different now. I guess since the COVID thing, it's not quite the same, but
man, I stopped going to NAM a long time
yeah.
ago.
But I went to NAM, man, and it was kind of I would like to see it be more about the music that musicians more drumming, more musical bands, not I don't know. I think it's our responsibility to continue to pass on this torch of being real on your drums as opposed to the speed demon drumming thing that we're talking about. I'm on a mission, man. I'm on a mission from God to make them play right.
Man, and I hear you. I understand. But dig this, man. You got the younger drummers who are growing up in the church. Or you are actually we're maybe even, I don't know, maybe there's even younger drummers that are growing up who are listening to the drummers that grew up in the church now. But what I'm saying is that the drummers that grew up in the church, uh, that's all they knew how to do and were sort of guided in that way. Now, dig this. If you grow up in the church and you're not really making any money, and then you get out into the real world and someone wants you to play the way that they're playing, and they're now, and this is my gripe, they're willing to go out on the road for less than half of the money that we were making.
Right.
They're younger, better looking, thinner, and people are willing to pay a little bit of money for that and overlook guys like us, unfortunately, because I guess we cost too much. I don't know.
Well, that's a whole nother podcast conversation.
Yeah.
We'll be out here until tomorrow night talking about that.
I know.
about the getting paid to do your craft, your job.
Yeah.
And for instance, I've seen a situation where this one particular artist, and I won't say his name, but I remember when he first started out, became very, very, very successful in country music. Fired his whole band, got a younger band, and then I noticed the band was pushed back all the way in the back. It's like, why the hell even have a band? And he was just out front by himself, and they got paid like half of what they were getting paid.
Right.
And it's just so weird now, the days of the band, man.
Yeah.
I used to love bands, but now it's like the artist, not the band.
Right. Well, that's what they wanted us to believe, that it's all about the artist and not the band. But you know what? It's always about the band.
Of course it is.
It's always about the music, so
how do you approach, the new thing now is you're not playing the right BPMs. How do you approach working with the tracks and stuff? Cause that's like having you in handcuffs for me. It's like,
well, you know what, man, I came also, there was a time in my life when I played electronic drums and played the sequencers and played to click. I have no problem with that. I don't feel like I'm being handcuffed. Now, the thing that does bother me is when one night is one tempo, the next night is another tempo, and it kind of fluctuates and it goes. It's like I can't read minds. The only thing I can do is just lay it down the way it was laid down.
Right.
Either at rehearsal or whatever we've done, we got to settle on it, because I'm responsible for those 2, 3, 4, 5 people on stage to make it feel right. So, when people complain about tempos, and I try not to be that guy that says, hey, this is where it was last night. Or that guy that says, this is where you counted it off. So I'm staying right there.
You between the devil and the deep blue sea. So
you really are. And so there are some bands where, I just have a metronome up there where I count it off and then I let the band, do its thing.
But once again, and I talk about this a lot. And when people watch my podcast, you'll see the drummers I'm talking to. I'll talk about this all the time. Every city you play at, every night, it's a different vibe, a different feeling.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to have the same feeling. So when I say I feel like I'm being handcuffed, I mean in terms of, man, the crowd's up. They're like, yeah, up. And you got to stay right here and go, and the crowd's like, come on.
Right.
So most of the guys that I work with, the older cats, all of them, if tonight they're feeling happy, it's going to be a little up.
Right.
And tomorrow night it might be, yeah, hold it right there.
Right.
So that's the only problem I have with every night you playing the same way. I think that's a problem in my opinion, but
one of Kenny Loggins was the king. What I mean by that, I admired him because he would he was what is the word? He would get his inspiration or he would get his enthusiasm depending on the crowd. And if the crowd was up, he wanted things to be up.
Right, right.
If the crowd was not as up, everything was settled more, into a laid back pocket. So once again, I had a metronome for a guide, and we'll start it off, and then he'll decide whether or not he wants it up or back. So here's the thing. I mean, I was working with a wonderful rhythm section, and when he wanted it up, we just kind of, it was a difference between sitting back like this and doing this.
Yeah.
So I mean, I understand that. Now, there are other bands that I play with where I'm on a click, and
Sure.
it can't
Yeah.
move up, it can't move down. It's the same thing every night. So,
Well, once again, as a band leader, there should be band leader etiquette on how to direct your band. Don't be like an asshole and get turned around. You pick it up, slow it down. I mean,
You're absolutely right.
BB would never just yell and scream at anybody. If he wanted to play it faster, watch some of the BB videos. You'll see him doing like this.
Right. Yeah.
He's telling you right there.
Yeah.
And he's moving his head where he wants that beat because he depended on the drums to take him where he wanted to be.
Right.
But I mean, it's nothing wrong to these artists who are in the front running everything. It's nothing wrong if you can just turn around at the drummer and say, "Let's pick it up a little bit."
Right. Yeah.
Just be cool with it. Not, hey, be like, then that's when I'll be like,
or you could take that Jeff Beccaro approach and just put the sticks down and walk off.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it's not necessary to act like an asshole on stage with the band. If you feel like you want to go slow, just say let's slow it down a little bit here. Let's do it like just communicate. It's not about my ego, I'm the boss crap,
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's important that we explain that to these people who are the leaders of their band, that if you want something a certain way, just ask for it.
I agree.
Don't be pissed and upset, because now you're really being the boss.
Right. Well,
you know what the boss spells backwards, right?
What's that?
Stupid son of a
okay. All right.
of a boss.
I hear you, man.
All right, boss.
And I agree. I agree with you.
And it's our job. That's why we're there. If you wanted to, stop putting so much emphasis on the electronic to make you feel comfortable because you can't play the lick. Because once again, for people that play instruments other than the drums, a lot of times if you have a lick, and then if the tempo is too fast, you go, you can't do it that fast. That's not my problem. You counted it there.
Right.
You got to practice it.
Well, the thing is what you and I appreciate is people not being a tyrant,
right.
up on stage. It's like, you're a person. When people are turning around and they're angry about shit, it's like going, hey man, I don't know if you need a nap or you need a sandwich. I don't know what you need, but you don't need to talk to me in that way.
Exactly. Now your drum kit, is there a particular wood, sound, heads? What do you like? What do you prefer? I noticed, before you answer that question, I noticed your toms are down low, like right by your tom is like right by your kick.
Right. Well, I play. They are low, I guess, and I don't know where I started getting that from. I am a big fan of. I think what happened is I sat in on Charlie Drayton's drum kit, and he had it. It was all economical. It was just. It wasn't. I didn't have to. It was. Like less movement. And I went, all right. And I used to play.
Me too.
Way up there, right?
Me too, all the way at the moon.
Man, I had to stand up in order to. So then I got too old for that shit, and so I brought everything down. Everything is just,
It's funny how that happens, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. But
Art Blakey Art Blake, excuse me.
No, go ahead.
Art Blakey told me, you're working way too much up there.
Oh yeah.
Why you got your cymbals up that high? You're right. You need to bring it down to you. I was like, and then he said, and Elvin Jones, he and Elvin Jones told me, yeah. And I was talking to both of them at the same time at Jazz Fest, and he was like in France, and he said, yeah, and the way you hit them, you can hit them hard without hurting yourself. He said, when you get older, you're gonna feel that. And I was like in my 20s, I was like, oh, shut up, old man. What the hell they're talking about?
Right.
Now I'm telling these younger cats, you're playing way too late.
Right, exactly. I mean, less effort. Let the stick do the work, So but yeah, that's how I feel more centered. I feel more grounded.
Right.
And it's that way. So yeah. I mean, when people look at it, they almost think I play flat. It's not quite flat, but it's definitely not in the well. How guys play with the floor tom tilted, but no, it's just I play with a longer stick. Go ahead.
I've noticed it. I've noticed your changes over the years. You brought your kit down lower, more economic.
Right. I play with, and also sound wise, I play with bigger drums. I mean, I play with a 13, 15, 18 floor tom. I play a 24-inch bass drum, a 14 by 24. That's my go-to. I change out snare drums. I play different snare drums, but the ride cymbals are 24, 22 crash, 17-inch hats. Because I want drums to sound like drums. Now, you don't have to beat the hell out of them. All you got to do is this, they're big sounds. Just attack them. That's all you got to do.
If you got the equipment to give you the sound, the volume you need, work with it.
Yeah.
Because, it's more to drumming than just going. You don't have to, it's like a golf swing. If you're trying to hit the golf ball, like, it's just going to go.
Correct.
You take your time and just let it connect. And
I always try to explain that, if you play any racket sports, like tennis or racquetball or anything like that, it's like, your motion. I mean, you don't have to run all over the court if you're just hitting it in the right spot,
Exactly.
So that. And that's the same thing with drumming. It's not so much a physical thing. It's a comfortable swing, your golf swing, your backhand, it's just.
And we know, and all you younger cats that's checking us out, we know what we're talking about now. I know y'all might not want to listen, but we're just telling you now. You don't have to work so hard.
Hey man, the two drummers that I when I first came out and admired, and they had the loudest backbeat. I mean, it snapped louder than anyone else's that I knew, and I was amazed and amazed that when I saw them play live at what they were doing. I went and saw Ricky Lawson play. Ricky, smoothest groove on earth. Snare drum popping. Wait, it wasn't this.
Right.
He was just hitting the sweet spot. And constantly, same thing with Jeff Beccaro. It wasn't, it was just hitting the sweet spot. It was beautiful, man. Beautiful.
And you learn that, but you don't have to learn the hard way. You can listen to people who know, and what, like we're telling you, but I would. The funny thing about and I'm not picking on the gospel cats. Like I say, let me just say again, I love all of that. I love you cats. But gospel was designed in our culture. You hear it was like the sanctified church, where most of the churches down south, growing up down south, were wood churches on bricks where I grew up, and people would clap their hands and stomp their foot.
Right.
Oh Lord, Jesus, celebrate.
Right. Right.
Boom, pap. The floor was the kick drum.
Right.
Hand clap was the snare. So all those older cats always say, man, your snare, you got to make that make it snap, crack, and pop there, little brother. What you think? Let me tune it up for you a little bit.
Right.
And that's why a lot of times I notice cats are like doing this, and it's like when you just play it and we had to hit the rim of the rim and the head at the same time to get that crack.
Right.
So you don't have,
as of late, I'm tending to pitch my snare drums up a little more. I'm trying to get my ear used to it, because I think by the time it reaches people out there, it sounds like it's supposed to sound.
Yeah, so, I noticed that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, now I'm going to mention this drummer. It's like, the Rolling Stones came through town, and Bernard Fowler, had an off gig, at one of the clubs here in LA. And Daryl Jones and Steve Jordan came by to sit in and support.
Right.
And, so the first thing Jordan did when he came up to play on this young man's drums, he took his drum key and just went, cranked it way up. And it dawned on me that, and when Jordan played, all of a sudden it did speak, so there's something to high-pitched drums. I mean, not out of the range of the snare drum, but just giving it the high tension and giving it a snap kind of sort of puts it in a voice where, okay, I can dance to that now.
That's what I was saying. That's why I tuned my snare where you can sound like a hand clapped.
Right. Like two glasses clicking. Bink. Yeah.
Because I've been on gigs and I go out in the house. I always like to go in the house and see what the band sounds like. And I see the drums, the snare is like, for whatever reason, a lot of people playing drums today like that. Yeah. I'm just not into that, but you can do whatever you want to do. You can make it sound like a piece of popcorn or something. I don't care, but I'm saying out in the house, it doesn't come across.
Well, that's what happens. Young drummer, all drummers at
all drummers, we're not just picking on anybody.
Right. All drummers at one particular time would hear their drums and would want to make them sound like what they hear on the radio or hear on a record, not realizing that that's it's going through a lot of processing in order for it to sound that way. So in general, I play with my drums wide open.
I do, yeah.
Very, very little muffling.
Yes, I use none.
Yeah, I mean, tune it. Tune the little things out of it. And so everything is wide open. I do use muffling in my kick drum. But,
a little bit.
Yeah, and then there's some kick drums I have where I have no muffling in it at all, and I play with no porthole.
Yes, I'm there. I'm there. But one of the guys, since we're speaking of drummers, who really made me like him was Stuart Copeland, because his drums were up.
Oh yeah, very much up.
And I watched him out. I go out in the house and listen to Stuart Copeland. It's like, woo, those drums are kicking, man. They're coming through.
Yeah.
But once again, we're talking about making the drums sound like who you are too.
Yeah.
So if you're happy with that, tune it the way ever you want, and that if that's your sound, that's your sound. But I'm telling you what's more effective in my opinion. So I'm not trying to be the boss and say my way is the right way and the only way.
Well, dig this, man. I mean, I even noticed once again the way Charlie. No, I can't say that. I can say this. Okay.
Yeah, so you can say it. Don't be scared. Say it, man.
No. The way Steve Jordan tunes his drums, they're more like a jazz drummer, and they're really pitched very high. And so, it's like when I hear Blakey, when I hear, Elvin, and when I hear all the guys, their drums, there's a certain jazz tuning that Jordan seems to have taken on. And it really, I mean, I don't think his drum sound is always pitch perfect, but with it being high pitched, it does have a certain thing to it. Now, what I was going to say, when I went and heard, and I went to a sound check of Charlie Watts in the Stones. And
yes, sir.
I got to say, man, his drum.
That was my guy, man. That was my guy.
Well, there was no other drummer swinging.
That's my guy.
And even with Jordan playing the way he plays with them, which is great, it's like I've learned to appreciate Charlie Watts even more, So, but what I was going to say, I sat down behind his kit, and his drums really did sound like crap. But when he sat down behind them and played them, and you go out in the house, it sounded like a platinum record, man. It sounded amazing.
I sit down at that kit, and he had a little square. He had a little I guess it was square. He had a little ride that was square when I saw him, and it was really thin. It was really thin, and then he had this, and he had that China turn, like that, not back like this.
Yeah, right.
He had it up. He had that China. That was his crash.
Yeah.
And he had another cymbal that was like a little thin piece of plate, and he has some little 14 hats.
Right.
And his kit, I took a picture of the hi-hat stand. It was like an old Rogers hi-hat stand. It was old. It was an old raggedy looking stand. All of that. But when the guy played, man, it was him.
Yeah, it was.
So once again, you have to play and get your own identity.
Yeah.
And but then again, you're talking about somebody that he was the only drummer in that seat until he died.
Right.
He was it. He was the guy. And you're not going to be able to replace that.
Right. And I feel the same way about Ringo.
Hell yeah.
They were the best drummers for that gig.
Ringo is the Beatles.
Yeah.
Charlie Watts is the Stones.
Yeah.
I mean, so Garibaldi is Howard.
Yeah.
Now you are Herman, and you play great the way you play, and people know that, but you're Herman and I'm Tony. We're not going to play the same. So
of course.
So these are just things we're talking about that we do to enhance our ideas for drumming, but
don't
get it twisted. Everybody, if you want to play on a pillow and mic that, go for it. But
everyone has their contribution, so
exactly.
We have to respect that. Yeah.
Sure. Even if it sucks. Anyway, but
right. There you go.
So listen, I know you gotta go, and I appreciate you being on my podcast, but this isn't going to be a podcast like you were on one time. I want you on again.
Hey man, let's do it again. This is a wonderful idea that you have. I thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. I know you gotta go run off to your rehearsal and get ready for your gig in LA traffic, so I better let you go.
Tony, I love you, man.
I love you, brother. I love you.
All right.